Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into the Winklerverse. I'm Bart Winkler, Grant Bills, Paul Immig, doing the Tim Shea driving and potting experience.
Except with a lot more hair.
Wow, what a wildly unnecessary burn.
I did not expect you to say that. Hell yeah.
It's just every time I see like the screenshot of a Bart and Tim Shea video, it's hard to not see the first thing be like Tim with his, his shaved head. I'll call it shaved head.
Maybe you should wear hats. I'm a big hat guy because of that reason.
Tim's going to cue this up and be like, man, a Friday, this is going to be great. I can't wait to listen. And then 50 seconds in, he's like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah, we do have a
shot. Is that?
We do have an episode with Tim Shea this week. We talked about the John Gruden quote unquote news. I just recorded with Horvat, so the picks are out in the wild, and now we've got some And I guess Paul, with you being the vagabond that you are, you can just take it away.
Well, I like how our early chatter topic was just me commenting on baldness, but okay, sounds good. So I saw this article earlier in the week. I think it was Bleacher Report. I was trying to recall, and it's 2 weeks in, but it was an assessment of every team's biggest weakness. It ended up ranking them 1 through 5, but I remember thinking before the season that though the Packers aren't some super roster, they also have a lot of depth, and like there's really not. At least, again, this is speaking like prior to the season, not some super obvious man if only they weren't so bad at position X. At least that's how I saw it. I'm going to ask you the question based around the answer that they gave. And by the way, don't think of it in terms of defensive line generally, offensive line generally, but, specific position. So what they said was the Packers' biggest weakness was the center position, Josh Myers. That you would agree the Packers' biggest weakness, you got to pick one, is the starting center.
Well, if he's throwing up on the football,
yeah,
that's like a cute story that John Boy can aggregate and all that bullshit. It bugs me, dude. These guys, if you don't have talent, you can't just make videos. That's not. I mean, these videos where people just put their head in behind like a play or a screen. Anyway, you guys seem to be pro John Boy.
I'm not pro.
You shook your head at me.
I'm just like, no. You said if you don't have talent, you just make videos. Well, then what are we doing? What does that say about us?
We are recording audio because we are orators and conversationalists. The video happens to be a necessity in today's consumption age, but at its core, this is an audio experience. Yeah,
I'll accept that. That's fine.
Now I also get sucked in like that, so I think I'm better than this content, but then I just go Reels all day and like rewatch episodes of Seinfeld on Reels. It's terrible. I just hate the way content is, but I don't contribute to it. I'm still busting my ass doing long form shit that no one wants.
Do you ever feel like a total sucker for doing hours and hours of live radio every day? Are you ever like, why am I working so hard? I agree. I know where you're coming from.
And I thank you guys for your time to be here, but I feel more irrelevant than I ever have in my entire career. Okay. I just
has nothing to do with the fact that you do this with us every week, right? That's just
people that listen to me every morning don't know that I'm on that station now, but at night. They just don't know. Nobody knows.
Now, let me just propose to you an idea.
I'm not getting recognized at Quick Trip anymore.
Well, you're not even on the same battlefield, and I understand why, or was it Battlefield? Battlefield. Let me propose to you a crazy idea, considering that you have, 12,000 followers on one of your social media platforms. But what about, using that to promote the fact that you have a show Just throwing that out there.
I won't. I'm done. I'm not engaging as long as the platform's in the direction that it's in.
So let me give you a suggestion.
I mean, I got to have standards, Grant. I got to have morals.
No, you don't.
You don't have to.
I want one. I want one moral.
What about this, Bart? What if you just sent me your password, and every night at 8:59 p.m., unbeknownst to you, I'll say, check out my show on Infinity Sports Network. Tonight I'll be doing this, I'll be doing that, and then you won't even know.
Well, actually, Carlos should be doing that on the Infinity account, and then I would retweet it.
Well, there you go.
Oh, you would retweet it.
A retweet.
Yeah, I'm a retweeter. I'll still retweet.
So anyway, if people start to see Bart promoting his show, it's just me. So you're not really responding to Bart in case he takes this advice seriously, which he should. Go ahead.
I think the biggest weakness, because I was doing picks with Horvat, and he took the Titans as long as Jordan Love's not playing.
Wow. Okay.
It's that we can't catch pick six interceptions. We constantly drop those. And against a Will Levis team, that's going to be a problem because he will give you one. The center puking on the football is a problem because then you can't throw the football.
Yeah.
I think the biggest weakness is still the special teams, specifically kicker. You got all these guys kicking 50-yard field goals, and everyone's making the same joke now, like 3-foot putt or chip shot or some golf thing. And meanwhile, the Packers are struggling. It's a third, and the Packers, they're every time that the Packers kick, they also give you this guy's going to miss the kick angle. You guys know what I'm talking about? There's like a TV angle where they give it to you, you're like, oh shit, this guy's going to miss.
Did that first kick of the game against Indy not feel like the game was hanging in the balance on that nervous? Like if he misses that kick after a beautiful first drive and the crowd is into it as a beautiful Sunday afternoon at Lambeau, and then he misses that first kick, I know the Packers led comfortably and really dominated that game, but I felt like that, like if he had missed that kick on the first drive, the game, I think the path diverges. I think it goes a different route the rest of the way.
Yeah, also I'll tell you about Paul's thing is that one of the biggest lies I've ever told in my career is that I don't know what goes on an offensive line. I don't know anything about it. And in fact, when I try to learn, I don't try to learn because it bores me to death. I have no interest.
Yeah.
I still think I could coach a team to 9 wins, but I don't care about the offensive line.
That's by the way, a good radio trick. When I don't know about the salary cap or I don't know about the offensive line, turn it around on the listener. Be like, that's not additive to the game. That's not interesting. Fans shouldn't have to care about it. You make it everyone else's problem that you're not an expert.
You tell me. You tell me. You guys are smart. This is a different day and age. You guys know football. I might be a voice, but you guys know as much as I do. You tell me what you see.
Or the salary cap. Leave that to it's not additive to the fan experience. Look, if you want to do spreadsheets, follow Ken Ingalls, okay? I'll learn what I need to learn. It doesn't interest me. I've started saying things like that on my show, and maybe it's out of laziness, but also like I'm not doing the salary cap stuff or like some of this game.
People are doing. Grant, I feel like you're on the rise because you're using Twitter. I mean, that video is great for you.
Yeah.
Twitter's a great platform.
You're reaching new audiences because you're willing. And meanwhile, I'm trying to have moral.
Look, there were days, and it wasn't that long ago, where I looked at your Twitter and was like, God, if I could do that. You were punchy, and you would step up. You would step up to the line. You'd occasionally cross it, but that was part of the appeal. I remember that Tiger Woods video that you tweeted. It's like, God damn it, why did I? When he had a crowd behind him, you remember that?
Yeah.
It blew up. I said, why didn't I think of that? And you don't try anymore. You don't push. You don't have the same drive on that platform that you once did when I looked up to you and you're like, God, if I could just get there.
Because my drive is on the radio. You know, so many people on the radio, there's all these articles that say you have to work more than just your show. You got to be grinding on social media. You got to, and I'm being like, yeah, I was doing that. And now I don't want to anymore.
That's fine.
But is it hurting? Is it helping? Has it ever? I mean, this platform almost got me fired 7 times.
And that's not an exaggeration.
Or did it help give me the show that I have? We never know.
I mean, it doesn't hurt when you just look and see how many followers you have. Like, that's a nice number. That's a nice reach. I think the Packers' biggest weakness might be center, Paul. But then we have to have the discussion of, like, if we're weighting positional importance. Like, if you have an awful center and you have an edge rusher who's just meh, like, does the meh edge rusher hurt you more than the awful center? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that the Packers have a super weak link. Quay Walker through 3 weeks has been, or 2 weeks, has been poor. And Bart's right. Like, dropping pick sixes and missing those opportunities, like, that kills you. Maybe not against Anthony Richardson in your home opener when everything seems to be going your way, but in the playoffs against the Niners, when Brock Purdy throws you an opportunity and it bricks right off your hands, like, imagine if Anthony Richardson and the Colts would have gone down and won that game. You're 0-2 feeling like you should have won both games. You're staring 0-3 in the face going on the road, and you still don't know when your quarterback's coming back. Like, so I don't know that Quay Walker is this disaster. He's been a disappointment. I don't know that he should be benched or anything crazy. Quay Walker came to mind because even if your center is just meh, Paul, I still don't know that really crushes you because I don't know how important center is relative to other positions.
Well, and also because it helps that he's, at least on one side, he's got an Elton Jenkins, Zach Tom is performing terrific. So, like, the offensive line, you can pinpoint a single position and say, it would be nice if they had, the Packers, let's face it, like, Brian Gutekunst has been very, very good as GM overall. He butchered his center pick 3-4 drafts ago. Like, when you look at all the multiple 2-3 different centers that were picked near after that and are much, much better. And Josh
Didn't Creed Humphrey go, like, one or two picks after?
One pick after, I believe it was. And even Whitewater's own Quinn Miners went like a round and a half later. He just got a $90 million extension from Denver. But I mean, that aside, Bart, I have to assume that Bleacher Report did not consider kicker as a possible option because then they ended up ranking 1 through 5 what the top 5 were after saying that center was the top weakness, and kicker wasn't mentioned. And the only way that could be true is if they did not consider kicker. So I hadn't considered kicker. It probably is kicker, at least until we find out, like, can he, he's two games into his rookie season as an undrafted kicker who switched teams right before the regular season started. So,
and now they're going to give this guy patience. Like, can we just do that?
I still can't believe, by the way, that Brian Gutekunst cuts his kicker the day before, like, basically the season starts, the last day of roster cutdowns, and then his ass comes to the podium and says, I don't know, maybe sometimes I'm a little drastic with specialists. It's like, what? Okay, well, but you just cut him. Like, why are you telling us this now? That was insane that he did that.
I loved it, though. I mean, that's the kind of, you're right. It's insane. I would, again, if you were to be if you're the Packers PR staff, you'd probably say, Brian, next time a little bit less honesty, could you? But, like, it was a nice breath of fresh air because he even mentioned J.K. Scott in that answer, right? That was his same response where he's like, well, I'm the same guy that cut J.K. Scott. He's doing pretty good now. But Anders Carlson is he even on a practice squad somewhere? Did I miss the news that he's
I don't think he is.
Somewhere?
I don't think he's anywhere.
So if he's even like Greg Joseph is now the practice squad kicker for somebody, right? I think I saw, but Anders is, so.
Oh, interesting. He's actually working. I found this, what is this, LinkedIn? He's working as Rich Bisaccia as pool boy, but that only runs through the end of the season, so he's almost out of work there.
Yeah, the pool season's coming to a close.
So what is he going to do, like, starting in November? At least
maybe he's one of these guys like around here. Well, this is how it used to be: is you would landscape in the summer and then do snow plowing in the winter. But now, because it doesn't snow anymore, because of global change or climate warning or whatever,
he's moved to Westby to be with his people. That's what he should do. He would love it there.
So I'm going to say kicker, Paul.
Yeah. So the other one. I think I'm going to go with kicker too. Though Josh Myers. I know that's Andy Herman's guy. Just kidding. Andy Herman is not shy about Josh Myers being bad. But kicker is my answer as well. I would say, though, if I was to ask you the most frustrating Packer to watch is Quay Walker, I would say, Jair is so good that like it sometimes makes up for the fact that I also say like, oh, Giant, like he's a very frustrating player to watch. But Quay Walker is my most frustrating guy to watch. But I wouldn't say inside linebacker is the weakest position because Eric fucking Wilson is great. Like, where did they like? So I don't know. Edgerrin Cooper has potential. Eric Wilson has been really good. So I wouldn't say
McDuffie's good in rotations. He's made plays in small samples before.
Guys,
too.
I got to be honest with you. I don't even really watch the defense.
I think you watch football, and I don't think you'll deny this. I think you watch football for the fantasy football and probably for like the daily fantasy as well.
Yeah, I'm a stat merchant.
My most frustrating Packers were Rashawn Gary, and we don't need to discuss.
You are never gonna like. He's gonna retire and get his. Yeah, he's not frustrating given the salary, but he really bought like he grinds your gears more than Quay Walker does.
No, he did. It's because I think we don't need to do this. I don't want to do this. He looks the part. When I listen to him talk, I'm like, man, that's the guy. It's your number one edge rusher. And then I watch him play, and it's like, that's Nick Perry. So that's what frustrates me.
Well,
Nick Perry was the worst.
Yeah.
Brad Jones.
Well,
we are brought to you by Happy Place Hemp. Let me go solo action, as I like to do. Happy Place Hemp. The promo code is BART, B-A-R-T, B-A-R-T. That's my name. You type it in when you're checking out at happyplacehemp.com, and then you get 25% off. Now, I watch some of these videos. I watch some of these podcasts, and it's like, hey, here's this super big thing that you can get. Use my code. You get like $5 off your first plate or $10 off your first order. 25% off every goddamn time. Promo code is BART. Oh, you already used it? Use it again. Promo code BART at checkout. The CBD, the THC, the CBD CBN, the balms, oils, lips, pets. There's snacks to help your dogs. Big time in, thunderstorms that I guess never come because it never rains here either. We just have no weather anymore. But happyplacehemp.com, the promo code is BART, 25% off every order. Did you guys, Paul, did you catch any of what I had to say last night? Because I think I came up with an all-time Bart analogy.
What was it? I've heard the first hour or so. What was it?
It's about Robert Saleh.
Oh, was it the analogy that he's the friend in the neighborhood?
Yeah, so I'll say it. It's
okay.
I think it's a top 5. Because Grant, I grew up on a street and it was blocked by two, like it's just a street. There was no like street and then cross there's no intersections. It was a T at both intersections. So it's okay.
So like a dead end or
it was not a dead end, but it's just like it's a street.
Okay.
There was outlets, but there was not. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I fucking don't. The more you talk, the less I know what you mean.
There's one street.
Is it the cul-de-sac with the?
Not a cul-de-sac.
There's one street.
When you went to the end of the street, you could turn left or right and not straight.
Oh, the T.
Okay, both ways.
Yeah, the T. Yeah.
So it felt included. It felt like very. But on the street, from happenstance, there were about 8 of us, that were all kindergarten and first grade, or we were all like within 18 months of each other. And you could go outside and play you just go outside and there's 3 kids playing or maybe 6 kids playing, or there's always somebody outside playing. So there's always a friend to play with. And it was a little rat pack of kids. But then there's also this other kid who grew up like 4 blocks away. But he thought he was a part of the block. He showed up to the block party. He showed up when you guys were playing stuff. No one really knows where he came from or who invited him, but he was really adamant that he was part of the team. And so you just like accepted that he was part of the team, even though you could do all of this shit without him. That kid is Robert Saleh, is what I'm saying.
I heard you say last night that Robert Saleh could have just stayed at home last night and they would have won the game and it would have looked the same.
Same
And
shit.
I'm not sure that I totally disagree.
I mean,
just like Bart,
even before the Rodgers hug thing, he like was celebrating a play, and it looked like it was a fan was on the sideline, like, and not like a longtime Jets fan, like. He married into a Jets family, and he's putting up the charade like, "Oh, the team scored. You all like, woohoo, yay!" He just looks so disingenuous and lost. And
Here, can I ask a follow up, Paul? It seems like you have. I want to know more about Robert Saleh feelings. You don't like Rodgers, which is fine. We don't need to get into that.
I have nothing on Rodgers.
I'm not asking for your shit on Rodgers.
I've got up to middle.
I've heard years of Rodgers content from you. You, more than most people, should want to sympathize with Robert Saleh and the position that Rodgers has put him in, right? Like, that's what I should hear from you. That's what I'd expect to hear from you. You don't feel that at all. And I don't think Saleh is a great coach, but like, what I would expect Bart Winkler to say is, well, with Rodgers running everything and being an ass on the sideline, how are we ever supposed to know? How's Saleh supposed to get a good chance to be an actual coach?
No, with Matt LaFleur, he made Matt LaFleur the co-manager. Robert Saleh doesn't belong to be there in the first place.
Okay.
Robert Saleh accidentally got important at work, and it's ruining his life. That's what's happening. Robert Saleh he's running the company because it's been in the family for generations. And I know that that's not the case, but that's the demeanor I get from him. He does not belong as a head coach.
Grant, what I was going to say a few minutes ago was your comment about how you heard Bart say that they would have won the game by the same score, whether Robert Saleh was there or not, is actually a perfect analogy to like the Bart friend group thing as a kid, because the Bart friend group as a kid in the neighborhood would have been the same whether the kid from 4 blocks down joined or not. The same activities would have happened. It all would have, but the night would have been the same. It's just that person wasn't part of it that night. So it actually lends even further credence to Bart's analogy. This actually is a perfect transition to my next topic. Do you have anything else to say on Saleh, or should I hit you with the segue?
Hit me with the segue.
So this is not I don't know how to frame it. So I'm just going to ask you a question outside of our typical context. I want you to build your perfect NFL head coach. So I'll give you some examples of what I mean by that. A former NFL offensive coordinator, a former NFL defensive coordinator.
We're losing you a little bit.
So is what he's saying is like the backgrounds in which we want.
Look at him still talking.
Where we want to come from. He's still going.
I've got no audio of him.
And he
is as impassioned as he's ever been.
It looks like it's good stuff too.
He is, and he doesn't hear us.
He's making hand gestures. He's
this
driving.
Is really funny. You guys have to, if you're on the audio, it's the 23-minute mark. You have to see this. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. He is going and going, and now hey, we didn't get a thing you said.
We didn't get a goddamn thing you just said, but Paul,
nothing.
We still can't hear you. We still cannot hear you. But we see you so clearly. That's what I don't.
Nothing. Did you turn your Bluetooth on in your car?
He's pissed.
It's funny when it's not my internet, although I have been riding one bar this whole time and I'm like super nervous and sweating.
Well, Paul was cutting a little bit out when we started, and then when he set up the first question, he took his time. Like he was not like, all right, just in case my internet's bad, let me be very direct so we can get going.
That's why I got right into it. Yeah.
He was winding and it held out on him. Sorry, Paul. God, that was a good topic too.
Hey, Paul, you've never been more impassioned.
We were just watching your face. You look like Johnny Cochran.
How much of it did you hear?
None. Absolutely none.
I heard the beginning where you're like former offensive coordinator, former defensive coordinator, and then nothing.
Right. So let's try again. Let's see if I can refine the passion. It can be a former NFL. You can be the son of an NFL head coach, or from a generation of. It can be a college coach. It can be a retread. It can be an old guy, a young guy. It can be someone who worked in college, like a Jeff Hafley, if he were to get a head coaching job in the NFL straight out of college. It can be someone who was in the
I got
NFL.
the answer. I got the answer.
Someone, yeah. So anyway, build your perfect NFL. I was saying, you don't have a limit on your attribute points. Build them from scratch, and he's your head coach, Bart Winkler. You go first. You got an answer.
Now here's all I'm going to tell you. And this is what I said about JJ McCarthy. Like the fact that he's hurt for the year.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him just doing normal backup quarterback things. He's not playing. So he should spend a week up with the offensive coordinator watching him call plays. He should spend a week with the defense, seeing how they scout other teams. The more you can know about an operation, I think, the better. This is how I came up in radio. This is how Grant came up in radio. Where, Grant, if you're on a remote and something breaks down, you know what to do. I think there's people that are stunned when I'm like, oh, no, I'll just do this, and I can connect it. It's like a lot of these people came up in radio where they don't know how to plug a hole into a wire. They can't compute it. To know sales, to know logs, to know all this kind of stuff, I think just makes you better at your job. So for a coach, I want to see somebody, and Paul, when you make the connection, this will work. I want to see someone who started in the film room. I want to see someone who's been grinding. I want to see somebody take the Eric Spoelstra route.
Yeah, baby.
To get to the head coaching position where they know a little bit about a lot of things and are a respectable enough adult that people will listen to them when they command attention.
Before you even said film room, I'm like, this is going the way of Spoelstra, and I hope I'm not the one who has to bring it up. God damn it. It's a good point, though.
That's why I thought Eric Mangini should have been such a great coach, because he came up the same way.
I'll contend he was a good coach, and Favre boned him. Favre's immaturity boned him. I still think Mangini was okay, but I like him on TV. Maybe that's why. Paul, go ahead.
Well, is there currently an NFL head coach that fits even close to that mold? A guy that worked his way up from the film room?
No, because half the coaches in the league were like sucking off the teat of Mike Shanahan.
Or Kubiak. Clint Kubiak's in vogue again.
McVay, yeah.
I remember when he was with the Vikings, everyone hated him. Now he makes Derek Carr good for a half a month, and everyone wants him to be their next head coach.
Oh, here was a little wrinkle to it that I meant to ask. That when I even when my passion first, when I was muted or whatever the hell happened, that I didn't mention. I would say you can also take, and maybe you say, hell no, I don't want that. But you.
There we go. Got you again. Yep, now we got you.
Okay. So last time was because a phone rang and then it got all messed up, but you can hear me. Okay. Going to be, would you take like a smart guy from a smart college who didn't play football, and you kind of like, you put dumb football guys with him, and you took like this genius level dude who doesn't know shit about football, but could probably figure out how to manipulate defenses instead of just having to like, you know what, let's ban 2 high safeties. Would you consider part of that being one of your attributes of like smart guy who doesn't know shit, but he's going to listen to the football guys where he needs to? Is that anything?
No, I want a guy. I want a Lance Leipold. I want a guy who coached D3.
Okay.
I want a guy who's coached. Not just his first job was in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like if I want a producer, I don't some of these like big companies at the top need people too, but they'll get entry level. Nobody works like their way up. It's all like, I don't know. Chuck would always say this. He'd say like, we are a radio station in Milwaukee. How is this anybody's first job?
Yeah.
Like how is anybody, any producer, anybody? This should not be your first job. This should be a place. I mean, when I was looking for TV jobs, I was applying to Elmira, New York. I was applying to all these places because I saw so many before me. Like Rhinelander's a big spot where people go for like a day and a half before they go to Wausau, for 3 weeks before they go to Milwaukee, before they go to Chicago. But then you don't do that anymore because no one wants to work.
By the way, this is a small mini little tangent off of this. These are all the same things that happen like in the music world of when I was in the band, and then like if a band breaks and they have overnight success, It's like, you didn't earn it. What do you
All
do?
you need to do is have one catchy song, put it on TikTok, and you're the top song of the summer. And this is all back to content.
Who did that?
The channels of content have changed. And old heads like us need to adapt. Even Grant.
No thanks. Grant's an old head?
Oh, I mean, Grant's an old, I mean, he's older. He's like mentally, he's older than I am.
That might be true.
He's wise. He enjoys nature. He enjoys the pine cone.
I was about to use the pine cone.
I did stop at the pine cone today.
He eats breakfast at a diner.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it's an old soul thing to do.
It's something to break up the morning. I'm gonna look forward to.
By the way, Grant, I watched the first place I saw the Rodgers and Saleh interaction last night was on your video, seeing as you've adapted to the standards, and then I wasn't listening to it. I didn't have the audio on when I first watched it, and then I looked in the comments, and it was Bukowski saying, "What's with the conversation in the background?" And then I listened to it, and I just appreciated, though you told him to basically just be quiet, Pete, was that it was your significant other was like almost like she was just read an interesting article, and I was like, oh, Grant's gonna eventually get comfortable enough with her to say, "Hey, honey, I'm shooting a video real quick. Can you be quiet so I don't have background noise?"
Do you know how stupid I felt? I was on my knees in front of the TV getting this video as she's telling me something important that happened during her day. And I'm like this, but I'm also like,
yeah, that's part of the job.
God, I felt like an idiot.
I was hoping it was going to go like mega viral, million views, and then everyone's going to interpret what article she was talking about.
Well, if the Fire Stick would have rewinded more cleanly, I would have got it faster and it might have gotten some. But the irony is that Amazon's own product prevented me from getting it up faster. And then the Amazon account put it out, and those assholes know what they're doing. They're like, they celebrate on the sideline, knowing that everyone would take it and be like, that's not, it was a weird interaction.
Yeah, it was fun. Grant, build your perfect NFL head coach from scratch.
To Bart's point, a lot of coaches in the NBA, a lot of people who run front offices went to D3 schools and started in D3. And you know who wrote a story about this?
Great book on that.
Danny Parkins, Pipeline to the Pros, available on Amazon or wherever you get your books. That idea is pervasive in basketball, but for whatever reason isn't so much in football.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
It's weird.
And baseball's its own other weird thing. I don't even know, if your lifelong dream was to manage a Major League Baseball team, how the fuck would you even go about that? What would you even do tomorrow if you're like, today I begin my quest to become an MLB manager? What would you even do? Football, I get it. You try to get an internship, you try to get a quality control job, just anything. You just need to get your foot in the door and go from there. Baseball, that's the least understandable coaching or management position that you can find.
Yeah. But you do never see the Lance Leipold, whether him actually or anyone like him, where it's like, yeah, this new guy, he's 50 years old. He's just hit in the NFL for the first time. He brought D3 school, whether it's Whitewater or someone else, to a decade of success, and then he went to a bigger school, and now he's in the NFL. It just doesn't happen. It is very odd. And in fact, it really is a bunch of guys whose dads were in the NFL, or guys who just broke in. Or they knew Sean McVay, or they knew Shanahan. If you didn't have a dad who was in the NFL or an NFL head coach, and you didn't know McVay or Shanahan, are you really working right now? It's a little bit of a crazy statement, but not all that far-fetched. They are all connected from the same tree.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the list of NFL head coaches, and I don't know that there's a single one that even begins to come close to what Bart is describing. Okay? I don't think there is. I think right now you just take your best shot at an offensive coordinator that you also think can do the other things. I think that's what you have to do in 2024.
The Lions offensive coordinator, his name is Ben Johnson.
Yes.
Allegedly.
So where was he 6 years ago? Can someone look him up and just what?
He was brought in. I think he was part of Patricia's staff. I think he's a holdover, but I'll look up the rest.
So what was he? So he's 36, right? He's a young guy.
You know how old he is, but you didn't know whether or not he was the Lions offensive coordinator.
Or his name.
Where there's when the guy's a little bit younger than you, and you're like, oh shit, what have I done with my life? But so I'm more familiar like with his age than I am, yes, with his
Graduate assistant at Boston College, offensive assistant for the Dolphins, quality control for the Lions, promoted to tight ends, retained when Dan Campbell got there, then pass game coordinator after Anthony Lynn lost play calling duties, and then promoted to OC the following offseason.
So that's actually not a terrible, like, to Bart's, if you could build that's about as close as it comes in the NFL, isn't it?
But he still started at a college. None of these guys he started at D1 college.
So how did he, what was the name of his first role, Grant? His exact title?
Is grad assistant. I bet a lot of guys start at grad assistant positions.
Okay.
In college.
Yeah. So it was probably at the school that he went to, at the college?
It's a good question. He was a walk-on at University of North Carolina.
We got all these guys that are hired because of their friends of somebody, but how many Eric Taylors are out there?
Oh, Eric Taylor would fucking be so good at this.
How many guys are coaching the Dillon Panthers to undefeated seasons?
I got to go back and watch. Grant, do you know what we're talking about?
Friday Night Lights, I believe.
Have you watched it?
No.
We watched 2 seasons. I don't think we finished it.
Well, season 2 was the writer's strike season where all of a sudden
they killed a guy. Once they killed a guy.
Like Landry killed a guy.
Yeah,
remember that was the writer's strike year where. Yeah. Well, no, it was so good. You should go back and finish it. It's a wonderful show.
All right, do one more quickie.
Well, no, I wanted to maybe build off that a little bit more.
I don't want to say another second about coaches. It's all I've talked about this week.
No, well, you babble for a couple minutes, and I'll save everything else because I know you got the poops.
Well, I have to pick up my kid, but before I pick up my kid, I would like to use the restroom and post this. Yes.
I also have. It's the first thing I am also going to do when we're done with this. Let the record show. I don't have to be done at a given time, but that will be the next thing I do with my day today.
How about we give a few words to the Milwaukee Brewers and their success, and how Craig Counsell is daunted by the task. Perfect. He is daunted by the task. Where's Grant going?
Just to grab something.
Oh. He's going for the poops.
I thought he was.
No.
Do we have any thoughts on the Brewers?
The Brewers team MVP this year has been.
Well, I mean, it's Adonis.
Is it?
Unless you want to say it's like Pat Murphy or some shit.
I was gonna say Pat Murphy, but that was gonna be just gonna be like a cheap out to a much more different. Grant, who is the Brewers MVP this year in your mind? Is it obvious?
I think Adames. Had Yelich remained healthy and played that way all year, it would have been Yelich.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think Yelich. Okay, here's what I view. Because they do in baseball, they do AL and NL MVPs, right? Here's what I would do.
They shouldn't anymore.
All right, national radio guys, save that for your.
I've used it.
I know, and I know you will again. Here's how I view it: the specific first half MVP, Christian Yelich; the specific second half MVP, Jackson Chourio; the overarching MVP through it all, Willy Adames. That's how I would frame it, and I think that describes everyone's contributions pretty. And then like the second place overall MVP would be William Contreras.
Yeah. Would Yelich still finish top 3, top 5, despite all the time obviously missed at the end?
Probably not, but that's just because they have other good players. Like Contreras is really good and Adames is really good. If those two both had dumpy years, like if Adames followed up this year with what he did last year, then sure. But no, I don't think with the way that his season ended, missing all that time, they just have better options. It's not an anti-Yelich thing. They just have a lot of good players.
So who's your top 5?
I guess it would be Adames in no particular order.
Okay.
Adames, Contreras, Chourio, Yelich, Ray?
Corey Ray. Wow. I didn't see much of him.
Where is Corey Ray?
Where is Corey Ray?
I don't think.
Who wants to know? No one.
He's in baseball.
Oh my God, you guys, you won't believe this.
What?
Wow. Now you
Who
really
wants
won't
to
believe
know?
this.
Who wants to know?
Oh, wow. I knew he wasn't playing, but I didn't. Damn.
So first of all, what you won't believe is he's 29 years old. Okay.
I'm really worried about what he's up to right now. Now I'm like, what did
Corey
this guy-
Ray is the manager
Okay.
of the Arizona Complex League Chicago Cubs. Rookie ball.
Oh, wow.
He is the rookie ball
Interesting.
manager of the Cubs.
Interesting.
Pretty soon, Keston here will be the manager of the Iowa Cubs, and they'll have, or South Bend Cubs, or whatever that. Whatever.
Oh, no, Council ain't letting that happen.
That's true. Not in his organization. God damn it.
By the way, when the way you were setting that up, I was like more like worried about what he was going to be like. Oh,
Well, he
God,
should.
what
He's
happened?
with the Cubs.
But okay,
He's eating ice cream with the enemy.
yeah.
All right.
I loved Council's presser yesterday. That's the happiest I've been watching a press conference clip in a long time. That was just the icing. What we
You know
were.
what, you know what
blessed
pissed
with
me
this
off about that?
Thursday. What?
I'll tell you what pissed me off about that. And I understand he's not there anymore in Milwaukee, but he said they've been doing that the last 2 years.
Really, the last 2 years. He did say that.
Yeah. You were there last year, dumb fuck. You know, he could say like,
Yeah.
we did it. They've been continuing to do. And that either tells me that he's fully in with the Cubs. No, what it tells me is he was checked out. He was not there last year. He was there like I am. I show up every night, but I'm fucking in bed. Oh,
All
now
right,
we're
boys,
seeing
this was fun.
sunshine.
You've seen sunshine. I will talk to you both soon. Go
Do you have to poop too?
Yeah, are you making a poops?
We'll do a trio of poops.
Are we all
Three
three
guys
going to go to the
pooping.
bathroom?
By the
All
way,
three of us?
there's no chance there will come a point where like saying something like that won't be funny. There's no age I will reach where that's not just a funny thing to say.
Are the three of us all going to be on a toilet at the same time?
Yeah, let's text each other.
All right. Pictures?
Team shit. Let's go.
Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Bye, Paul.
Grant, thanks to you.
Thank you, Bart. I love doing this on Friday, by the way. The burden that normally sits on my shoulders during this podcast, I guess a similar burden still remains, but I'm okay with just ignoring it because it's Friday afternoon.
We'll never miss a Friday show.
You're darn right. Thank you for the time. Have a great weekend, Bart.
You too, and happy weekend to everybody. We'll talk again.